So, David thanks his mom for introducing him to his soulmate. I don't care if it was by mistake or just some stroke of fate. I just thank God that I found my soulmate. And, my love, you were worth the wait. David moved into the trailer park in late February, right behind his mother's shop. Near the end of April, or the 1st of May, David asked Marilyn to marry him. He knew that she was pregnant with another airman's child that had shipped out in January, but still wanted to marry her since she was his soulmate. Her reply was, I'm having one baby, and I don't need another. Why in the world would she make such a reply like that? The answer to that question, my friends, was simple. She was 26. He was only 18. 8 years younger than she was. David took this very hard. They still kept playing cards and seeing each other as friends, but they did not go on any more dates. Now, David's younger sister, Donna, had a friend by the name of Dina, the mother of Thomas Dooley, whom Donna kind of pushed upon him. David started dating her, and out of desperation or depression, asked her to marry him in June, and they decided to get married on August 15th, 1975. Meanwhile, on July 4th, 1975, at the trailer park, there was a big celebration being held. All the Dooleys were there, along with several friends. In the evening, somehow it was decided that there should be a firecracker war. So two teams were formed, and firecrackers, bottle rockets, and the such was thrown at each other. This was a very, very dumb thing to do, but boy, did they have fun. On the day before David's wedding, August 14th, David, a very skinny kid, and this very pregnant Marilyn go all over Lubbock getting supplies for the wedding. Marilyn would say that those flowers were beautiful, or that she liked this unity candle better than that one. People probably thought that they were the ones getting stuff for their own wedding, and not just David's. Now, 5 days after David married Dina, on the 20th of August, Marilyn went into labor. Somehow, David got word that she was in the hospital in labor. Now, David's mom and dad were already there. When he went to the hospital by himself, you would think a husband would be with his newly wife on their honeymoon, still to speak, and not at the hospital with an ex-girlfriend. Well, this did not matter to David, because remember, this was his soulmate, even though they weren't seeing each other anymore. When David got to the waiting room, he started pacing up and down. I mean, he was really worried. His mom kept telling him over and over again everything was going to be all right, and so would the baby, but I guess David didn't believe her because he kept asking and worrying more as the time went by. I think he wore out the carpet that night. Hours passed, which seemed like days to him. Then all of a sudden, a nurse walked in with this little baby girl and handed David the child. I guess they all thought that this man that worried so much was the baby's father. Now, this little girl turned out to be Amber Lauer, and who would have thought several years later David would end up being her dad. Forgive my pronunciation of the name. In February 1976, David was given the choice to extend his tenure with the Air Force for 4 more years and be cross-trained into a new job and be stationed in Japan, or choose an early out. The reason behind this was that they were closing down the hospitals on many of the bases and were not going to need as many medics as before. David chose the early out option. In May 1976, David and Dina decided to go to California to visit Dina's foster parents. They talked to the foster mom before making the trip. Everything was arranged that they would stay with the foster mom once they got there. Stay a week, then come back to Lubbock. Well, on the way to California, they had transportation problems and ended up taking a Greyhound bus to LA. This took a little longer than expected. Once they got to their designated Laguna Beach, they received some bad news. The foster mom that they were going to stay with had learned about Dina's childhood. No, wait, stay with, and learned about Dina's childhood had passed away from a heart attack. Her husband apologized and told them that they could not stay there since he was grieving and planned her funeral. They spent a little bit of money they had getting there and had nowhere to stay. They ended up camping on the beach in a tent they brought with them. It was like 3 day it was like 3 days past, sleeping on the beach, that they came across this gentleman named Hugh Benson and let them stay in one of his bungalows. Well, to make the story short, this gentleman just happened to be the associate producer for the movie Logan's Run. He got them invitations to the premiere of the movie, rented their outfits for them. So on June 22nd, 1976, Dina and David rode into his limo, walked the red carpet, and attended the premiere of Logan's Run at the Pacific Cinema Dome. All the stars were there: Michael York, Richard Jordan, Roscoe Lee Brown, Farrah Fawcett Majors, Jenny Agutter. Several other actors and crew members were there also. They had extras wearing the costumes of the movie, which were very revealing. No undergarments were worn by both men and women, as waiters serving drinks and such before the movie started.